Welcome, everybody, to our live stream for more Once upon a time, an evil queen cast a powerful curse that trapped every single fairy tale character to our world. Let me repeat that again for Facebook. Sorry. Trying to make the first 10 seconds count, right? For YouTube. But anyway, I should have started Facebook first. But anyway, as I was saying, once upon a time, an evil queen cast a powerful curse that trapped every single fairy tale character we ever known to our world, until one day someone prophesied as the savior would break it. That person ended up being the daughter of Snow White and Prince Charming, Emma Swan, who was a Belle's Bonds person and grew up as an orphan because Snow and Charming had to give her up, to save her from the curse. Anyway, she grew up 28 years without family, without, anyway. And then the curse was broken, and unfortunately, the savior prophecy was more than what it led on. It was about battling the forces of evil and protecting everyone's happy ending. It was more than just breaking the curse. So over the years, Emma was face to face with the Queen of Hearts, Peter Pan, Cruella de Vil, the who am I trying to say? Ursula, evil queen. I was gonna say Ariel, and then Sebastian, and then Flounder. I'm like, no. They're not evil. Why am I trying to? Um, anyway, Peter Pan, Wicked Witch, the Snow Queen, Arthur, Hades, Hyde, Evil Queen. Now, Gideon and the Black Fairy. And so, unfortunately, all this evil and battling of good versus evil has an ultimate price. The savior dies in the final battle, savoring everyone else's happy endings but her own. Since then, she's been trying to avoid her fate, but it hasn't really worked out so far. So, is it still too late to avoid her fate? What entails in the final episodes not, I don't know what to say, because it's not the final episodes of Once Upon a Time, but it's the final episodes of the story that we've all watched for the past 6 seasons. So in a way, it is kind of the end, but not the end of the show, just the end of this journey. So yes, we're in the final episode stretch. We are watching episodes 15 through 17. You know, there's 22 episodes a season, so we're not done with the season yet. So 15 through 17. Next week, it's 18 through 20. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. The final battle's approaching. We're reaching to the final pages of this book, Storybrooke. Get it? Book Storybrooke. Anyway, we're hitting the final pages of Henry's book, and the ultimate price of the saviors will be complete. You know, the happy endings will be restored, and everyone will live happily ever after until we get a book 2. But anyway, the end of Once Upon a Time is near. The end of the original Once Upon a Time. But we are also coming close to the end of our marathon because the final season is just one season. So despite being a whole different story and feeling like a whole different series, even that's only one season, just like Once Upon a Time in Wonderland. So, man, time flies, guys. I hate for it to go by this quick, but it just does. All right, well, welcome to our marathon. I started about 30 seconds late for YouTube and a whole minute late for Facebook. Good to know, right? Now we have about 5 minutes until we start the show. Speaking of this, because there's not a lot of people have been watching my live streams over the years, I thought hopefully over time I would gain a lot of more people watching. And so I thought by starting at 6:50, it would give you enough time to jump on. 10 minutes has been a little bit too much time, especially when I have to figure out how to stall time till 7. And that ends up going over time. So anyway, so speaking of which, I announced some changes over this past week. I hope you read my post. One of the changes being how we do our marathon. We're still doing it the way we're doing it right now. But after we finish this final chapter season, how we're going to do our marathon for the next season. It feels uncomfortable saying that. It feels like we're watching a whole different show. Honestly, when we get to this, when we finish the final battle in the season 6, it feels like we're gonna watch a whole different show. Trust me. But anyway, despite that, when we get to this new so and so series, we're going to change how we do the marathon a little bit. And one of those reasons is we don't need to give ourselves 10 minutes to get started, honestly. Even Once Upon a Time back in the day only started 2 minutes early. So I don't want to start right at 7 because yes, I do need time to welcome you to our live stream and then start. If we want to still start at 7, I think 6:58 is a good estimate because that's when it aired on TV. The actual episode aired on TV, not not a commercial break or anything. But anyway, so yes, so 6:58 is probably when we might start our live streams in the near future. Um, and then also, I have already made changes to this in the past, but hoping that I was going to gain a fandom on this channel. I was hoping because like I was watching the live stream the other day, um, of a YouTube family that I follow on YouTube. They live in Utah and they're good faithful members of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, and so I really connect with them, being from their faith and having fun, learning from them, good gospel centered Christ like family. Anyway, they never done live streams before. They did their first live stream just yesterday, and I got acknowledged twice in the live stream for sending a question. They answered it live, and they didn't answer everything I sent them, but I tried getting at least one question in there, and I did it. At the very end, I finally succeeded. I left a comment in there. I didn't mean to get recognized for that, but they recognized it and they acknowledged me on that comment. Not a question, it was just a comment about like how I didn't get a cell phone till I was like 17 because there was a cell phone. Anyway, they did a live stream and there were so many people throwing in comments as I was talking. I wish I had that same thing. Now they have other platforms like Instagram and Twitter, and I do too. I should start a community over there, honest. I just have a personal profile that I share with just friends and family. It's not a public one. But maybe that's what I need to do. Set my profile to public. Just like my Facebook one. Set my profile to all my social media profiles public, so that maybe we could grow a fandom over there. Because I've heard it sometimes starts with other social media platforms before it reaches YouTube. But anyway, a lot of people are, when I watch other YouTubers live streams, um, there's a lot of people, commenting like every single second of the live stream, and it's hard for them to keep up with all the questions and comments. And I was hoping to get somewhat like that. I know I'm not popular enough to be like 100% having a comment every single, but I was hoping to get enough where like at the end of our live stream after like 3 episodes of Once Upon a Time, I could do a 15-minute Q&A with you and answer any questions you sent during the show. um it's part of this commentary, like, yes, I know a bunch of the behind the scenes stuff, but once you watch a few episodes, you pretty much explained it all and there's nothing else to talk about as far as commentary concerns. And so it's like it's better for you to leave your questions so I have something to talk about. Anyway, since that didn't really go out well, around season 5, I decided to get rid of that and turned the extra 15 minutes at the end for Q&A to just be 15 minutes of me talking your ear off about what we just watched and what to look forward to next week, yada yada yada. That's what I did for 15 minutes. And so it's 6:59. See, this is why I don't want to start 10 minutes early, because I try to find something to talk about and then it takes too long. I'll try to wrap this up really quick. Okay, point being is the way we change this, how we do our marathon, start at 6:58, and then it used to be, and then we've, even though it wasn't too long ago that we changed our Q&A time to me just wrapping things up and talking at the end. I'm probably not going to talk at all. Probably just end the live stream like shortly. Maybe talk like recap what we just watched shortly for like a minute or two, but then wrap up the live stream shortly right after the 3rd episode is what I'm thinking for season 7. So anyway, so that's not the only change. There's a few more. We might have to wait till after the show because it's 7. I'll just briefly mention them. I also did a poll that no one's responding to, and it's kind of upsetting. So please go on my Facebook page, go on my YouTube post community tab, and vote on how many for the final season. Since it actually feels like a whole different show, we're going to treat it like it's a different show. And I'm going to vote for there's only 22 episodes. Vote for how many episodes we should watch a week. Should we keep them on Sundays? Because technically Once Upon a Time got moved to Fridays during its last season. Do you want to move to Fridays or stay on Sundays? Go answer that poll and then answer how many episodes we should do a week. Since it is the final season, I'm much more acceptable to doing less than 3 episodes, especially since the last season is the least favorite. So anyway, just heads up, do those polls, and then one more change is the schedule, which most likely won't change if you all still want to do it on Sundays with 3 episodes a week. So the schedule's not really a change unless you choose a different day of the week and a different amount of episodes. I made a schedule of what the schedule. So I don't want to do this for every single day of the week because that'd be too long. But I made a schedule of what it would look like if we watched 3 episodes a week, or 2 episodes, or 1 episode. Which, if we continue our 3 episode strategy, we'll end our marathon in June. If we change to 2 episodes a week, we'll end it in the end of July or beginning of August, depending if we have to miss a week. And then if we do 1 episode a week, we'll end in September. So anyway, so yeah, it just all depends on what you vote. And so please, please don't ignore my post. Go vote. We only have a couple weeks left of season 6. I need to know what you want me to do before we finish season 6. Okay. Anyway, let's get started with the show. Speaking of, we're not making changes yet. We're gonna finish the current season that we're in, and then we'll make these marathon changes. But yeah. So season 6, episodes 15 through 17. Let's get started. 7:02. Oh my goodness. Okay. So last week we got to know more about Charming's father. Hook's responsible for his death and passing. So what's going to happen when Charming finds that out? Is he going to hate his new son-in-law that he just approved on marrying Emma? And then also Gideon and Rumple have a difficult relationship. I hope they have a better father and son relationship. I hope Rumple can save his son from turning evil. Because, like father, like son, he keeps making wrong decisions. Anyway, oh yeah, we got to see Bellfire turn evil for once. That was nice. So out of his character though. And then oh yeah, and then we saw the evil queen, Regina's counterpart, get a happy ending, and they sent Robin Hood back to the Wish Realm, where the evil queen and Robin Hood lived happily ever after. But not our Regina, the and it's not the Wish Realm evil queen either. It's the Jekyll and Hyde serum evil queen living with Wish Realm Robin Hood. So anyway, happily ever after. Page 23, that's the alternate reality where Regina and Robin met, on page 23 in Henry's book. So anyway, and then we got to see Tinkerbell briefly, and Hook and Emma's, they were engaged, but then their engagement fell apart when Hook was keeping secrets about Charming's father, and Emma was upset about, not upset that Hook killed her grandfather, but upset that he kept that secret from her. And so anyway, it's not his fault. Hook tried to tell the truth, but Emma, thought he was going to propose and didn't want to ruin the moment. So anyway, he still should have told her, like maybe even like the next day after the proposal. I don't know. But anyway, so that pretty much sums up everything that went on. Hook was about to run away, but then he realized that was a mistake, and he wanted to go apologize for Emma for keeping that secret, because he wanted to put their engagement back on track. He wanted to fix their couple relationship, Emma and Captain Swan, right? Are you a ship of Captain Swan? Anyway, Emma and Hook wanted to mend his relationship with Emma. Before he had the chance to do that, he got trapped on Nemo submarine, and Emma, just thinks Hook abandoned her because someone told her that Hook ran away. And even though that wasn't the case, that's what Emma thinks. So, no, there's no one to tell, from Captain Nemo submarine to tell Emma that Hook didn't run away. He's just trapped, and he got pushed through a portal by Gideon. So anyway, yes, what a broken love relationship. It seems like Hook made it worse, but that's not actually what happened. It's all Gideon's fault. Hook was never going to run away, So anyway, it just seems pretty bleak right now. But, well, we're going to get into the next episode, which has Aladdin and Jasmine coming back. We haven't seen them since the mid-season finale, which was season 6, episode 10. That was like, what, through 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago. So we're going to, because this is not a season arc, we're still dealing with Aladdin and Jasmine and some of the untold stories here. So Alana and Jasmine are coming back, and we're gonna see Ariel, who we haven't seen since what, season 4, something like that. So lots of stuff, in order, and then following that, in order to defeat the Black Fairy, we have to work with our evilest enemies from previous seasons as well. So that means Blackbeard, Isaac from season 4. This will be interesting, and then in order to protect the Charmings, to protect their family, they have to travel back in time, but altering the past can destroy the present. So a little bit of time travel in this. All right, let's get started. Right. So Disney Plus. I hope you pulled it up as I was talking. Um, it's called The Wondrous Place, season 6, episode 15, and A Wondrous Place is from the Lana and Jasmine movie, the direct quote. So hopefully you get the memo of Aladdin and Jasmine just from the title itself. Um, so um, so yes, we're gonna start. It's 43 minutes and 57 seconds. That's what I was waiting to say. I was like, isn't there something I tell you before we start? And like, yeah, I'm just telling you the timestamp so you know exactly where I'm gonna push play and where to sync my commentary. 43 minutes, 57 seconds left. But if you don't have Disney Plus, that timestamp is a little different because they add their own Disney Plus credits at the end. But anyway, however you watch it, just don't. Just pause it before it says previously on once. Anyway, so all right, okay, I'm gonna start the countdown. Um, just making sure everything is all good and all is well. Okay, we're gonna start the episodes now. Okay, you ready? All right. Countdown begins. We're starting 7 minutes late. I'm so sorry. With the TV show. 3, 2, 1. Wait, don't push play. Sorry. False alarm. My play button just turned off before I had the chance, so forgive me. But remember, don't push play when I say 1. Wait until I say 0. 3, 2, 1, 0. Previously. Oh. Well, there's our recap. I technically already recapped it for you. Yep. Charming's just finding this out that Hook killed his father. How would you feel if you found out that your son-in-law killed your father? What would you do? Would you not want them to be with your daughter? I don't know. It was 200 years ago in the past, but then again, in real life, you don't get people who want to date your daughter that's 200 years old. This is fiction. So most likely, if they killed your father, it was probably a few years ago or very recent. Emma's. So we found out that Grumpy was the one who told Emma. Grumpy the dwarf. He told Emma that Hook ran away on Nemo's submarine, and so that's giving Emma the message that Hook gave up on their love and is abandoning her, which is not true. It wasn't his initial thought, but Nemo gave him advice, and he decided to listen to it. But by the time he did, it was too late. I mean, Snow White also told him, that you got a happy ending, which teaches Hook that even the darkest of schools can be saved. Which is, Snow White didn't know he was helping Hook in any regards, but you know, he didn't know what he was. He didn't know. But she ended up giving him advice without realizing it. Look at these pirates. Well, Nemo's not really a pirate; he's a submariner. But look at Nemo. Like they're like one family because Liam is his half brother and Nemo's like a second father to Hook and Liam. So it's like a nice family reunion going on a hunting for Crackit blood, apparently. Back to Aladdin and Jasmine, who we haven't seen in 5 episodes. Woohoo! Um, my hat got smashed, and so it's really destroyed. By the way, if you're wondering why my hat looks more funkier than it did in past live streams, it's kind of broken now. I kind of ruined it. Kind of got smashed upon. And my hair doesn't look lovely on camera anymore because it's going bald. I'm trying to keep this on so we can keep it covered. I wonder how I didn't like quite how I looked before anyway. So now with the hat being kind of broken, how do I look? Okay, I guess not too bad. Yeah, that's funny. Lana and Jasmine have a couple relationship problem. They need therapy for sure. So yeah, go sign up for therapy. It's probably worth it. I never done it myself, so I'm not the one to say. But you probably should take couple therapy if you're struggling with your spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever. Sponsored for this live stream. I can't give you exact resources. Sorry, I didn't prepare for that. Jasmine, you did not fail Agrabah. What does a canoe boat have to do with Agrabah? Capital of Agrabah, many years ago. A different section of Agrabah than from what we've seen in Wonderland. Hmm. Wow, Jasmine. Yeah, she's not interested in those princes at all. So this takes place after the start of season 6. Remember when Jafar went to Aladdin to find out he was broken, and Aladdin just wanted to be dead and commit suicide, but Jafar said, "No, I want you to live and suffer." Which apparently is worse than death, I guess. But anyway, Aladdin used the scissors of destiny to cut himself from the savior fate of death. Which is what Emma's gonna face. So anyway. He turned a prince into a stick, Jafar did. That's funny. Mhm. Jafar is threatening Agrabah. Remember, he's just like the Disney version him. He's obsessed with Jasmine, which shows a lot of red flags on his part. But anyway, yeah, he won't stop at nothing to get what he wants. And so yeah, he could destroy Agrabah if Jasmine doesn't agree to marry him. Mhm. Wow. Not like a duck, quack, quack. He was talking about, "Duck your head, a sea monster is coming after you." Anyway, wow. Funny how the wish did not work and didn't send them back to Agrabah. Kinda crazy. Wow, he's like, "What are you doing here?" Yeah. He's like, "What are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be in Storybrooke with Emma?" Now, speaking of which, we're in Storybrooke after seeing that encounter. Hook with Captain Nemo on a submarine with a lion Jasmine. You'll never see that on any other TV show. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is a Disney movie, but it's a live action Disney movie, not a cartoon animated one. So you would never see a lion Jasmine on a Nemo submarine with Captain Hook from the Peter Pan fairy tale, which is also animated. So you'll never see anything like that again. Once Upon a Time has really cool combinations. There's even but fairy tales are so endless. There's even combinations you could come up with that Once Upon a Time did not do. So yeah, Charming just woke up. Don't make him go back to sleep. There is a funny blooper here where Emma says, "I didn't run. Hook ran. There's nothing more to say." And Jennifer Morrison, who plays Emma Swan, thought that Regina had a more lines. They didn't know that was going to be the end of the scene. That's where they were supposed to say cut, ring, right? You know when you film lights, camera, action, cut when the scene's over, right? Anyway, they didn't know that was the end of the scene. No one said cut, and so Emma thought Regina forgot her line, and so she said, just she tried to repeat herself to remind Regina. She said, "No, really, there's nothing else to say. There's nothing else to say." And then Regina's like, and then Lana Parrilla, who plays the evil queen, she's like, "There's no, there, I know. There's just they didn't add any more lines. That was all they gave me, so that's why I'm not saying anything." And Regina both laugh, the actors. So anyway, that's just a blooper I remember. I've seen all the bloopers for each season, but that's definitely one that sticks out to me from season 6. Probably should have mentioned my favorite blooper from the other seasons, but oh well. Too late. Too far into the series. So Jasmine's afraid of Jafar. She was brave of him in the past. What made her so afraid of him? This used to be up. No, this one. This one used to be up, but now that I smashed the hat so hard, maybe put like pallets and boxes on top of it, it goes anyway. Whatever. Yeah, I don't like my hair at all. I don't like what it's doing. So I'm covering it as much as I can. I liked how it was when we started the marathon, but a lot has changed in the past year. It might have something to do with me dying and causing me to go bald quicker or something. I don't know. Princess, hmm? Yeah, yeah. See, Captain Hook's unlike you, Jasmine. He's not afraid. He's a hero. He's one of the Storybrooke heroes. This is why he was going to go back to Emma before Gideon sent him away. So, yeah, even if you are afraid, you need to. We learned this last week. You need to face your fears, just like Gideon and Rumpel. And so, anyway, face your fears. And yes, it's reasonable that you probably won't Jafar being all powerful, you won't defeat him on your own. But that's no excuse now. It's an excuse then, but it's no excuse now because you have Hook and you have Aladdin and you have Captain Nemo and Liam. You got a whole team with you to help you defeat Jafar. I don't think Henry's really obeying his parents here. He's like, Emma, can you take care of this and put it in the shed later when you're ready? Anyway, Henry's not good at doing his chores. He says that like he's kind of listening, but he's also listening to what he's doing on his phone. I mean, he unplugged an ear just to see if his mom was okay. That was a smart kid to not choose technology over family, but he still had one earbud in, and I don't think he's good at doing his chores because he's in it addicted to his electronics still. They want Emma to exploit her emotions. It's kind of funny. It's true. They have been family long enough to know that Emma's good at putting up walls, especially when she's used to abandonment. By her parents, by Neil, and now by Hook, unintentionally, of course. Didn't mean to abandon her. He meant to be better than his family, than her family. Not no offense to Snow and David, and no offense to Neil, but he meant to make the better decision here, and Gideon sent him away. So now, I'm sure through this lesson, Hook has now felt what it was like to be Snow and Charming because they didn't want to give up their child either, and the Evil Queen kind of forced them. And then Neil was kind of forced by August, who's that's the one time it's not a villain who did it. It's a hero who just told Neil to stay away. Anyway. Mm, I don't know, Jasmine. Don't be so down on yourself. You can do this. So Hook and Jasmine are having a heart-to-heart conversation because it's funny. Hook just barely went through this like last episode, like literally. He thought, he's made a lot of bad decisions, like killing his grandfather-in-law and feeling bad about it and not knowing how to tell Emma. And he learned that hiding behind the guilt was wrong. But by the time he learned his lesson and wanted to go back to Emma, it was too late because Gideon sent him away. And then now he's here to pass on the message to um Jasmine. So yeah. Hey, I told you Ariel was coming. We haven't seen her since season 4. That's a long story. Who took your voice away? I thought Regina gave it back to you in season 3. confused. I mean, she did go to Arendelle and accidentally get sucked in when they shrunk Hook's ship into a bottle. Uh, Ariel got sucked into the magic, but but then that bottle returned to Storybrooke, and Ariel went to Storybrooke ever since. So I'm like, how did she leave Storybrooke, and how did she lose her voice and tail? Well, then again, this is a flashback where I forget we're not in present day. And so, despite what a plot hole I thought this was, maybe this was before all that, because I know Regina took her voice, but she also gave it back in present day Neverland season 3. But maybe this flashback takes place before the events of season 3, before we met Ariel. So then, how did she lose her necklace? Because we know in Neverland, Regina had to give her voice back, and she didn't have the necklace on her to talk, so and turn her into a human. So now the question is, how did she lose her necklace? It's better that this is in the flashback, but at the same time, how did she get lose her necklace? Hook is measuring things. He's doing a lot of mathematics to help get Nemo's ship back to Storybrooke after they defeat Jafar. Aladdin, leave Hook alone. Hmm. So yes, the submarine is sinking because the engines have shut down and they're underwater. So there's no way to abandon ship, and because there's only one helmet and one suit. So anyway, so yeah, I mean, I guess wishes come with a price. So I hope the price is worth just wishing your way to the island that where Jafar is. Man, our story is mostly focused on Hook trying to get back home and less about Emma's misery. So I think that's good because we know that Hook didn't really abandon her, and this is not that good to watch. Yeah. You brought me. Okay. So, so someone has brought my dinner down. So that's just what happened there. Man, this hat's just bothering me. I have other hats, but I have Marty McFly hats I could wear, especially since I have Back to the Future posters in my background. I could wear those. And again, it's not this show related. Okay. The shadow of my hat's covering half of my face. So, what if I do this? How does this look? Sorry. No, that's not look good. Ah, yeah, that looks good. That looks okay. So now there we go. I fixed my hat. I look good now. I'm not covering half of my face now. Sorry about that. So yes, they got to the island obviously, and Emma and the girls are having a fun time. They found the shack that supposedly has Jafar in it. Why would he be living in the middle of nowhere in the shack? Right? As soon you'll realize that this is not Jafar's shed. It's somebody else that I'm gonna say until it's revealed, and I'm not spoiling. But looks like Captain Nemo and Liam decided to go down with their ship, and Hook would have done the same with the Jolly Roger if he didn't fall in love with Emma and wasn't eager to get back to her. So, I mean, I guess Hook it was okay letting Nemo and Liam leave. I mean, they helped enough. So anyway, I guess that's the end of Captain Nemo and Liam. Bye. Are you sure this is Jafar's lair? I doubt it. He wouldn't do this in the middle of nowhere. It's Ariel. Yeah, so Ariel sets booby traps because she loves to protect her forks and napkins, and who cares about that stuff? It's not as valuable as you think. You need to learn more about humans. That's not important. People, precious treasures include gold, silver, jewels, not socks and forks. You find fascinating, man. I'd probably do the same thing if I was a merboy, right? Oh, look, it's some camels. Nice. So wow, we never seen a princess team up such as Ariel and Jasmine, right? I want not every single princess team up is gonna happen on Once Upon a Time. We're never gonna see we probably seen Jasmine and Belle. We're never gonna see let me think of a combination that's never happened in the show. What oh yeah, Elsa and Anna cross paths with Ariel. That didn't happen. So there you go. See, you don't get every princess crossover, but the ones we do have, like Ariel and Snow White, Belle and and Cinderella. That didn't happen. That's another one. Cinderella and Snow White, Ariel and Belle, Ariel and Jasmine. You're not gonna get crossovers like that outside of Once Upon a Time. So Ariel's like, Prince Eric would never say something like that. Right, it was Jafar disguised as Eric all along. We know Ariel doesn't find Eric until Storybrooke, so yeah, that flashback makes sense for it to be a fake version. And that's by marrying Jafar, of course. So yeah, for best princess crossover I get. Not well, one of the greatest. So yeah, Jasmine learned that, and you're never too late to say you love someone. Same with Captain Hook. And same with Emma. Now Ariel's learning never too late to tell Eric you love him and want to spend more moments with him. So yeah. So this is Ariel's hide. Now we're back in the present. Ariel's hideout. Here we go. And so yeah, it's not Jafar's hideout. It's Ariel's. So the plan is, so Jafar's a genie. If you remember Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, he turned into a genie in the series finale. So Jafar is a genie. I told you he was going to come back in the show during season 6 at some point, and this is finally the moment we've been waiting for. Yeah, this time Jasmine's not facing Jafar alone. This time they're working together. So, release Jafar, grant him the wish that they want, to return to Storybrooke and restore Agrabah, and then in return, the third wish will set him free. Mhm. Oh my goodness. Now that is controversy. That is plot hole. I thought you couldn't break the genie spell. You like you couldn't even wish for freedom because it would because it comes with a price. But obviously they forgot their Wonderland logic here because Jafar just automatically breaks the genie spell. That's not how it works. In Wonderland, Will Scarlet had to be very creative when trying to save Cyrus from the genie spell. He had to say end Alice's suffering in order to afford the price and set him free. And the price was that Will had to be a genie. There always had to be a genie. Now I get what you're saying. In Once Upon a Time season one, um, uh, Snow White's father used the wish on the genie to set him free and be the evil queen's mirror. That is true. Sydney was set free by Snow White's father without any price, but that genie was not made by the Well of Wonders. That was just a random genie. That's my logic for how that doesn't contradict with the Wonderland show. Knowing how the Wonderland show ends, we know it's the Well of Wonders that turns Jafar into a genie. So when you're a cast as a genie from the Well of Wonders, the only way to be set free is, to trade places with another person to be the genie. And so I'm like, I'm surprised they were able to, because this is from the Well of Wonders and not from wherever Sydney got his curse from. Um, because there's multiple ways to turn into a genie. Um, I'm surprised Jafar is just automatically free like that. I'm gonna like this is a question I would ask the writers. Why did you do that? You're going against your Wonderland logic. Just because no one watched it doesn't mean no one watched it. And like some of us big fans here have watched the show. Like this is insane. Plot holes, plot holes. This is what makes me dislike genies on Once Upon a Time because their logic does not match up to earlier seasons and stuff. So Jafar apparently um, didn't want to destroy Agrabah. He was just bluffing, and a true hero would have realized that and not made the deal. But Jasmine just got too scared and made the deal to marry him. Unfortunately, Jafar, knowing that Aladdin Jasmine wasn't strong of a hero in the first place, did this so that he could take something magical from her, the wedding ring, and use. Apparently, that ring is what kept Agrabah from being destroyed. I don't know how that logic makes sense, but anyway, Jafar is going to use that ring to trap the Agrabah in because he didn't have the ring before and he couldn't hurt Agrabah before. But now that Jasmine willingly gave the powerful ring to him, he ended up not destroying, but putting Agrabah inside that ring. So, yeah, it is. It's in the ring we were just talking about. Mhm, mhm. Don't mind me, I'm eating my dinner now. Everyone loves to watch me eat, but if you knew what these live streams were really about, you'd be watching the show anyway and just hearing me in the background. I mean, I guess if you wanna see my facial expressions when talking about my when doing my commentary, I guess that's true. But if I'm not talking and I'm eating, you can just watch the show for a second. So Jasmine had some like fairy dust or something that he threw on Jafar. It didn't work, so Jafar laughed and he's like, haha, now I'm gonna take that ring from you. And before he had a chance to hurt Jasmine for failing to defeat him, she actually had some secret red dust that he she stole from Jafar. And you know that turned all those princes into staffs when she was forced to marry them, one of them. And so anyway, she used that same magic on Jafar to turn him into a stick staff. No, no. When Hook said he was a survivor, I didn't take it that way. I just thought he was good at avoiding death and staying alive forever. Because every time he dies, he comes back. Ends up avoiding death or being resurrected. Not in the kind that you would believe the mortal resurrection, not the immortal resurrection. Like those people who have near death experiences, but then they come back because they didn't actually die. Well, he's had many of those. And he actually did die, but Zeus gave him an extra life. So, apparently Jafar had the ring, and then when Jasmine wished for Agrabah, it actually appeared to her. Jasmine has used two wishes. She wished to find Agrabah, and then she wished, what was her second wish? She wished, She had a second wish. What did she the wish to take them to this island and, find Jafar, but mm, her third wish is to free Aladdin. Now Aladdin comes from the genie of Regina's magic mirror. So I understand this logic. Aladdin deserves to be free because he wasn't cursed by the Well of Wonders. He just took the genie shafts and just chose to be a genie. It's only by the Queen Well of Wonders do you have to pay a steep price for being a genie. So wishing him free, no steep price, makes sense here, but not for Jafar. Tulip's kiss broke the genie spell, so I guess she didn't need a third wish. Huh? Interesting. She could have just used it to free Agrabah, I guess. But then Aladdin wouldn't be free. So maybe Trula's kiss was better, so that way it would solve both problems. Then again, they could have shared Trula's kiss after the third wish. Oh well, it saves the wish from being granted, though. So without having to pay an extra price for it, maybe that was smart. Man, this guy's really bothering me. So Ariel gave. So they don't have cell phones or telephones in the fairy tale lands, but there are other forms of communication like that, and apparently to the Little Mermaid and the lost sea of Atlantis, where Ariel's father lives. There are seashells that people use as cell phones to communicate to other mermaids, and if it works with mermaids, it can work with humans. So maybe Hook can call Emma from a seashell, which is an interesting way of telephone calling. And now he could tell Emma that he's not abandoned her. Gideon sent him away. It's nice how they solved this problem and didn't extend it to a few episodes because anyway, that plot's kind of old. We don't need that. Mhm. Yep, Hook is explaining everything to Emma right now. Hey, by the way, I'm sure you're noticing, where's my Once Upon a Time shirt that I wear every single Sunday? I haven't done laundry since last Sunday, so it's in my dirty laundry bin. Normally it's one of the normally I do laundry before Sunday. Um, and I usually, wear it's one of the first outfits I wear is my Once Upon a Time shirt, and then I make sure I wash it like Saturday before, but college life, busy, so I didn't get to do laundry yet. I'm sorry. I will be doing it tonight. So then that way it will be available next week right before I do laundry again. At least I won't do it this Saturday, so that way I could wash it right after our next week's live stream. But anyway, sorry, don't have Once Upon a Time shirt today. I have my church clothes because I never got out of my church clothes. So plot twist, this guy that Emma was talking to at the bar, he was from the land of untold stories. He was an artist, but then he fell in love with another artist, and turns out the artist didn't love him and abandoned him, just like Emma. And so Emma relating the same experience, thinking that Hook abandoned her until just now, right? And then when Hook let her know that that he didn't abandon her, you know, um, Mm, it was technically another untold story, but then I guess it turns out that it was Gideon disguised all along. So much for another untold story that we haven't got since like Captain Nemo really was really the last one. So it's been like what 10 episodes almost. They really abandoned the untold story idea. I would have liked it better if we had a new untold story every single episode until the end of the season, like which is the final battle. Like have every episode be an untold story, and then watch the final battle in the finale. Like, come on! Like wasn't this supposed to be a season of a Land of Untold Stories? Um, You know, shouldn't there, when we first brought the Land of Untold Stories to Storybrooke at the beginning of season 6 with Hyde, in charge and everything like that, I didn't mind killing him off right at the beginning, but like, wasn't this season supposed to be a season where we just kept going story after story after story until the end? Like, honestly, it wasn't supposed to be a half season arc, right? So I was expecting each arc to be like one episode, and unfortunately, once we finished the Captain Nemo episode, the whole idea of Snow and Charming being under a sleeping curse is now taking like 10 episodes at this point. And the whole Gideon coming to Storybrooke to kill the savior is actually taking about a half a season. The evil queen, she might have taken not more than a half a season, given the fact she didn't get a happy ending till episode 14, but she was also not in episode 11, 12, and 13. She kind of had a break. So you can kind of argue she took a half a season as well. So the whole idea, like, it is still true. This is not a half a season arc. We've been facing the final battle since episode 1, but like, the whole idea with the evil queen being in town and then Gideon, it feels there, you can kind of see it half and half. And I'm like, come on. I like the one arc per episode. Like, why did we abandon that after 6 episodes? Like, seriously. But anyway, yes, it turns out despite having another untold story come back, unfortunately we don't get to meet the real guy because Gideon would never disguise as someone made up. So I'm pretty sure this guy was real and he was an untold story that we just didn't get to see on screen. But even though his story's already told, too bad Gideon disguised as him, because it would have been nice to have a flashback and another untold story on our episode hands, but nope. Anyway, but yes, Gideon, stole it to, in his conversation, disguised as an untold story character. He relating a story to Emma so that she could cry and mourn with him, mourn with those that mourn, stand in need with those who stand in need of comfort, for, the same old Bible scripture. Anyway, Gideon disguised as this untold story character takes Emma's tear and threatens, and uses that tear to prevent Hook from returning home to Emma. So he's threatening Emma's true love, and he's like, if you want to see your pirate again, you got to help me defeat the Black Fairy. I don't think Emma's interested in helping Gideon after what he's done. You took Captain Hook away from me. You tried to kill me. I don't know if I trust you. Anyway, next episode, we had cameos of characters we haven't seen in a while, and now we're gonna get villain cameos of people we haven't seen in a while. The Ariel and Alana and Jasmine were just heroes. I mean, I guess you can count Jafar as technically a villain, because we haven't seen him since he has been in season 6 before in a couple episodes, but we haven't seen him since Wonderland. But for those who probably didn't watch the Wonderland show, he kind of doesn't count because this was his first appearance in the seasons. But anyway, now that we had all our heroes, we're gonna get all our villains. So Blackbeard and Lost Boys in Neverland, we'll get a couple new characters as well, like more Black Fairy, who we were just barely introduced before. So we've only seen her in one episode prior to this, and that's episode 9, when he stole Jack and Jill's baby, Rumple. Anyway, so yes, Black Fairy, and there's someone else we're gonna see. It slipped my mind. I can't think of it. I can't think of it. Oh, Tiger Lily. We're gonna see Tiger Lily from Peter Pan, the cartoon Disney movie. Anyway, but yeah, Blackbeard, Isaac, a bunch of villains from previous seasons that are not dead, obviously, because we already had that in season 5. The Underworld, where we got to see a lot of villains return. But these are people who are still alive. And so let's see, who out of all the villains we face are still alive. I guess you count Captain Hook, but he's not a villain anymore from season 2. Maleficent is still alive from season 1 and season 4. I would say Regina from season 1, but like I'm not gonna count her because she separated herself and we're not technically seeing the evil queen anymore. Anyway, so that's 2, Maleficent and Hook. Peter Pan's dead. Wicked Witch, well, we have already seen her come back already. and she's not in this episode anyway, so we won't count her. Um, Snow Queen dead. Ursula, even though she's alive, we won't see her. Quilla's dead. Arthur's dead. Emma's not evil anymore. Hades is dead. Hyde is dead. Evil Queen's dead. I guess we will see the Black Fairy, who's the current villain of season 6, along with Gideon. So anyway, so Black Fairy, Maleficent, and Isaac is still alive. So anyway, but yeah, we won't see we won't see Maleficent. So anyway, even though she's alive, we won't see her. So it's just Isaac and Black Fairy, really. But I guess and Blackbeard. So those are the only villains we're gonna see in this episode that we're watching right now. Sorry for delay and too much talking. It will cover our 15 minutes anyway at the end. So there you go. All right, I'm gonna start the timestamp. 43 minutes, 53 seconds if you're watching Disney Plus. Otherwise, make sure you pause it before it says previously on Once Upon a Time. Or I'm gonna push play right when I say 0. My mom just said hi to me 23 minutes ago. Okay, just double checking everything. Okay, good. No comments. Let's go. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, 0. Yeah. We're gonna get a flashback of Gideon and how he was raised by the Black Fairy. This will be interesting for sure. Hmm. We're gonna get a flashback of the Black Fairy and how he was raised with Gideon, how she raised Gideon. Wow. I like that shot right there. The Black Fairy, still, her handsome hero, the book that Belle gave her baby before Blue Fairy took it. Anyway, Black Fairy, who kidnapped the child, took the book and just threw it at the camera. In real life, that would break the camera and shatter it. But, obviously this is fiction. So that was kind of a cool shot. You won't be needing this book anymore, baby. How rude. That's a bedtime story. No bedtime stories? How could you grow up with no bedtime stories as a baby? Tell her, little kid. Anyway, sorry, got a little crazy there. Huh. Oh wow, Emma was so mad he made Gideon bleed. You took my love, and then you almost killed me, and for that you're gonna pay. Yeah. Well, again, you're acting like the bad guy. Killing is wrong. Um, Stealing someone's true love is wrong. Stealing and killing is wrong. Kind of sound like a bad guy, so you can't blame him on painting you as a bad guy. You're making the wrong choices. You're doing things the wrong way. Mhm. Just because she was a hero doesn't make you one. That's so not true. And yet it's also true if you were to say it the other way around. Just because someone was a villain doesn't make you a villain. So I guess that statement could be true. You have agency. You don't have to be a hero, but he's just evil. So that's why I'm like, not true. Gideon had a chance to save his prisoner friend, and he chose not to because he was a coward. A hero would not be scared. He would try to fight that boy's life. Man, Gideon, why didn't you go save him? He was your best friend. You were helping him. Yay, more. Yeah, we know the Black Fairy is Rumple's mother, but they don't know that. Only we were revealed that, not the people in Storybrooke. Mhm. So this was a plot reveal. I was kind of surprised because I thought Hades was the center of all darkness. Like if you compare him to the devil, you know, every side, every story has two sides, and in the gospel, there is good versus evil. Um, Satan kind of created that evil, and so I almost thought when I first watched this that nothing was going to get worse than Hades, but season six tops it because though Hades probably created godlike evil, Blackberry created a mortal like evil. No, that does not look the same. It is probably a plot hole for sure, but they they painted the fact that even though Hades was probably the evilest, um, he is not. Just because he's the evilest doesn't mean he invented evil. So turns out the Black Fairy is the one who invented evil, and she's besides Merlin. Merlin's older, and the apprentice. Blackberry is the longest living soul, who's outlived even Rumple. So the Black Fairy, if we destroy her, there would be no more evil in this world or anywhere else in the fairy tale lands. Black Fairy created the Dark Curse. Black Fairy created Maleficent. Black Fairy. I mean, the only person Black Fairy cannot create is Hades. I don't see how she would be that kind of thing. But Black Fairy created Korra, created the Dark Curse, created the Sleeping Curse, anything that was life threatening and evil. Black Fairy created. And if we destroy her, there'd be no more evil in Storybook. No more good versus evil. No more story. Everyone would live happily ever after, and that would be the end of the story. Which is why we're being introduced to her in this season. Um, given that it's almost the end. So yeah, yeah. So allowing ourselves to have a happily ever after with no more cliffhangers or villains. Now you could tell a story without an antagonist, and how you do that. Because you remember in season two, before Cora and Hook showed up, Emma and Snow got sucked into a portal. You could still have something like that where they accidentally fall through a portal and they have to find a way back. The only difference would be there's no villain to stop them, and that wouldn't make things as interesting for the us watching the show. But you could technically still create adventure by accidentally causing an accident that causes people to go to another world or causes something to happen, and it takes a half a season or so to fix it. So that technically doesn't stop a story from continuing per se, but as we're told in Once Upon a Time, every savior needs a villain. Every story has to have a villain somehow in Once Upon a Time. It makes things more compelling and more interesting rather than just boring, you know, um, boring obstacles. Anyway, it's nice to have a little bit of both, but more unlikely that accidents will happen very often too. So it's most likely you won't be facing villain after villain, because these heroes have been facing villain after villain on a daily basis. But accidents don't happen. At least not that often when it comes to shoving through portals and stuff. And so anyway, you're more likely to live happily ever after and go back to normal lives if all evil gets vanquished. And that's by killing the Black Fairy. So anyway, as I was talking, we've had multiple things happen. Regina it has broken every sleeping curse. The town line, check. She got Dragon out of the cage, check. She got um Dr. Doolittle out from his prison, check. What don't ask. Now she has undid everything except for the sleeping curse on Snow and Charming. So anyway, there's a few ingredients she hasn't tried, and she told Henry to get them, but Henry's under some kind of author spell, so we're gonna have to figure this out. And then let's see. And then after that, we see Gideon sneak in the Black Fairy's vault and get in trouble for it, obviously. Emma in present day comes to Gideon. This flashback we're getting of Gideon's childhood is really just present day because it only happened a few episodes ago, technically. It's not too far of a flashback, really. But anyway, but yeah, present day Emma's deciding after talking to Rumple and trying to see if Gideon can choose the right, choose the right when a choice is placed before you. Anyway, so Gideon's gonna hopefully choose the right and help, and that way, along with helping Emma get her pirate back, Emma's agreed to help Gideon destroy the Black Fairy and end evil once and for all. And if they end evil before Emma gets killed, there will be no final battle to be scared of. Because once the Black Fairy's gone, all evil's vanquished, and it's just good. And anyway, nothing to be interesting in once one time after the Black Fairy's destroyed, unless you're a silly season 7. But anyway, let's see. So yes, Emma comes to Gideon for help. They decide to trust each other, and then Hook is now making a deal with Blackbeard, which is where we are, making a deal with Blackbeard for a magic bean in exchange for the Jolly Roger. He's done this before. He did the same thing when he was trying to find Emma in season 3. He sacrificed his ship for Emma. But now he's going to make the same trade again. It's kind of funny because he did get his ship back from Ursula, but now he's going to give his ship away again. It's funny how he keeps running into Blackbeard and makes funny deals with him. Anyway. Yeah, do you remember in the Sorcerer's Mansion, we could create a portal to Arendelle? Because of that logic, you can also do that here. You can also still do that a couple seasons later. So it obviously would not make sense if we did forget about this. If we did forget about this, I mean, it wouldn't make sense. I'm like, didn't you just open a portal in the Sorcerer's Mansion? Which is what they're doing. Wow, it's a spider. A giant spider. Wow, they destroyed the portal for sure. Whoa. Gideon has magic, obviously. Gideon! Emma's like, Gideon, run! Spider. You know, it's funny. I know it's kind of funny when I first watched this. I kind of thought of the Black Fairy as a spider instead of a Black Fairy, a Black Spider. Don't know why. I kind of mixed the two and thought, oh yeah, this goes well with her character. And I'm like, no wait, spiders and fairies are different things. Why am I comparing the two? Hey, it wasn't the first time we were mentioning spiders. It's not the first time the show has done spiders. I mean, Emma in her foster system with the Snow Queen, she was in the same home as a boy named Kevin who was also afraid of spiders, and that's what caused Emma not to run away until Gideon threw her in the middle of a road and became insane. The spider. So in the heroes in the her handsome hero book that Belle gave Gideon, it mentions about a guy defeating a spider. How ironic what Emma and Gideon are facing right now. Mhm. Wow. So it looks like the boy survived 28 years later and he didn't get killed. So, well, that's a news. Blackberry spared his life. Mhm. Mhm. So apparently Hook lost to Blackbeard. He won the first time to, get back to Emma, but this time he lost, and so he doesn't get his ship or the woman. Blackbeard's like, "You're not leaving me behind. I'm not trusting you to bring that ship back. I'm going with you." Yep, Blackbeard wants to come to Storybrooke. That's never happened. So yeah, Hook lost, but he ended up getting his bean anyway because that's where the ship was. So yeah. Yes, if your problem is being the author, why not ask the previous one, right? Exactly. Isaac's back. We haven't seen him since season 4. Isaac's smiling because he was like, "I love to talk to the evil queen." Yeah, Regina's not here to make deals. She needs answers about Henry's author abilities. Hamilton tickets. Regina's not gonna deal with Isaac. Yep, yep. Wow. Now they make it now Regina's listening and wants to make a deal with Isaac just to save Henry's life. Because, it's not true. I think Isaac used his own agency to write Rumple's fairy tale story of heroes and villains. But, like, if it's true that Henry's author powers could be out of control and he could be forced to write things that he can't control, they might think of him as a villain and lock him away without understanding that his author powers are out of control. So anyway, I Henry could just he's not evil, but he could seem just as evil as Isaac, and if he's not in control of his author powers. So yeah. So whatever the Black Fairy did to Gideon's best friend, it's better left unsaid. It's probably very violent to talk about. Too violent. Yeah. So they know about the savior. Gideon knew about the savior all along. He planned on coming to the real world to get her, but doesn't seem so evil not with evil intentions yet. What caused him to want to kill her? Well, Emma's not like you, Gideon. She's not a coward. She's a hero. Yeah, well, Blackbeard is the victim of Hook now. He can't return home either. That's funny. It's Neverland. You guys are in Neverland. Mhm. Kill them! Kill the savior! I mean, kill Hook and the savior is not Neverland. What am I saying? Kill Hook, kill Blackbeard. It looks like there were some lost boys in season 3 that chose not to go back to Storybrooke and chose to stay on Neverland. Mhm. Yeah, that's a good line from Emma Swan right there. Where's a big spider Gatorade when you need it to kill the spider, right? Well, the spider's too powerful. I'm sorry, Emma. Despite your magic, you can't kill her. I mean, you can't kill the spider. Looks like Emma's about to die, and Gideon's about to channel her power to open the portal to the Black Fairy. Oh, portal opening! No, that can't be how Emma dies. That's not what we saw in the vision. What are we doing here, people? Whoa, the spider was just about to eat Emma dead. But then Rumple came to save the day. And Rumple's using the dagger to save Emma's life. Wow. Rumple, I never thought Emma or Rumple would care about Emma's life. The way he said that just felt a little weird on his part. He's known for betraying their family. It's crazy. Rumple, you can use magic. You don't have to use the dagger. Wow. Yep. Well, he had the choice to be good, and he used his agency to choose evil. Yep. That doesn't mean he can't be saved. Even after someone chooses evil, they can repent. And then if they choose not to and they choose to be evil again, repentance is still on the board. It's never gone. Not unless Christ unfulfilled his atonement. But anyway, yeah, I'd only believe half of what Emma said. Gideon's evil, but he can be saved. Technically. Technically. He just needs to repent and be forgiven. I like the black fairy. Powerful toys are not meant for such disobedient boys. Toys, boys. I like that. Good sentence from the black fairy. Wow. So he tried to throw black fairy dust on the black fairy, but it failed, and then the black fairy was he thought the black fairy was gonna throw it on him, but he threw it on his best friend and turned him into a spider and crushed him. Wow. Wow, black fairy, all you care about is your boot. You don't care about Gideon losing a best friend? Wow. I like that sentence too. In every way, you'll do exactly as I say. Way and say. I like those rhymey lines from the Black Fairy. She's a good villain, honestly. She's probably the best and one of the best in the show. Can't tell if she's number one, but one of the best. So, plot twist, Gideon took the Black Fairy's heart. After killing Gideon's best friend, Gideon so much hates her and wants to kill her. I could see his motivation to kill Emma to kill her. But anyway, that's not gonna work because the Black Fairy took his heart, and that's how he's being evil today. That sums up the flashback. So plot twist again, when they left after saving Henry and leaving Neverland, some of the Lost Boys didn't want to leave, and they're the worst of the worst. Like we have the Lost Boys who are not as evil, who got to go on the ship and go to Storybrooke, but some of them were almost as bad as Felix, if not worse. Um, end up staying on the island and not wanting to leave and making everyone suffer for killing Pan. So yeah, well, yeah, I mean, Hook did double cross the Blackbeard by stealing his ship after giving it to him, and then also lying about giving it to him the second time. He's a double crosser, but the Blackbeard just double crossed you, crossed Captain Hook. So I mean, that's what pirates do. They double cross each other. So never trust a pirate, especially when you're a pirate and you double cross people. Never trust one in return because they'll just do it back. Oh, Gideon. I mean, Gideon. Blackbeard. If Hook survives, he still has to give Blackbeard the ship. Rumple, Rumple, you're making a lot of bad decisions. And Belle's watching it right in front of her eyes. Her husband fighting with Emma and Snow. Well, don't make promises you can't keep, Rumple. Just because it's over doesn't mean it's over. I don't think so. Looks like the black fairy is here now. I don't think so. I don't think Gideon ever wanted to help you, Black Fairy. You tortured him too much for him to want to. He hates you more than he wants to help you. I doubt part of Gideon ever wanted to help the Black Fairy. It all has to do with it being controlled by the heart. Gideon, Black Fairy has your heart. It's not your fault. No, Isaac's not going back to his cell. We want him out of the show and fast. Just kidding. But yes, Emma threatened Rumple's son, saying, "I'm not giving him a third chance. He killed me twice. If he comes again, I'm just gonna kill him." And Rumple's like, "If you do that, I'm gonna stop you." Like they're at odds with each other. And it's not really Rumple or Emma's fault for fighting about Gideon. It's really all the Black Fairy and all the evil and darkness she's putting into everyone. Their fighting is what's causing their fighting is coming straight from the Black Fairy. Like when you fight with someone and make wrong choices and choose the wrong, it's coming from Satan, like the Black Fairy is. Anyway, plot twist. So it is the end of the story. We're at the end of the book, guys. We're in the final chapter. Whoa. So wow. So that was very cool when I watched it live. That was really cool. Now we didn't know there was going to be a season 7, like not even at this point. So we thought this really meant the end of the show. Like we were down to the final episodes, like literally the final episodes. And so anyway, so yeah, really quick, when a Blackfin, even though Emma didn't die, she was on the peak of death, causing the portal to slightly open, just not stay open because Emma didn't die. But before Rumpel saved Emma's life, it was, Black Fairy was able to sneak through the portal. The only plot hole with this situation is the fact that why didn't we see her before the portal closed? Like, did she just come out? I know the portal has two sides. Maybe she came out the other end, but then she would have fell through the clock tower without having that staircase. Anyway, I don't know. How did Gideon not see her? They waited for him to say your plan failed in order for him to realize she was there. I know she was kind of hiding in a corner, but like when she stepped through the portal, Gideon should have saw her run to that corner. Anyway, it's just a small little detail. No show is perfect. There's always going to be plot holes. Anyway, but that was one of my favorite scenes is at the end, after Isaac helps Henry with his author powers. Apparently we learned that everything that Henry just wrote with his author powers is a key to winning the final battle, and Henry has no control over it. Anyway, he has no control of what he's writing, and it's in a different language too, so he can't even read it. But anyway, Gideon, but anyway, not Gideon, but Isaac, after helping Henry control his author powers, Regina decided to hold her end of the bargain because she's not evil anymore by letting Isaac escape and go back to New York as long as he doesn't return to Storybrooke. Otherwise, he goes back in a cell, right? So anyway, Isaac's gonna go back to New York, and obviously the deal wasn't fully complete. Didn't get the Hamilton tickets and didn't get the car he wanted. But Isaac prefers the car over the sales. So anyway, he takes the car. But he mentioned one last piece of information to help them out because he's a knight. He, even though he's evil, he's still he's actually turning over a relief to help the heroes. And he decides, you know what, we didn't make a deal on this, but I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm going to give you one more piece of the puzzle that has nothing to do with Isaac's Henry's author powers going out of control. It has something to do with this is the final chapter, and we're it's the end of the book. We're on the final print. I wouldn't say the final page. I don't know if 5 episodes can fit on one page, not even one chapter. But if they say it's the final chapter, it's the final chapter, even if it's going to take a couple more Sundays to finish the story of Once Upon a Time that we started 1 year ago tomorrow. Yeah, it's the 1 year anniversary. This is what we've been watching for our 1 year anniversary. This is just where we ended up being. Not how I planned. We had a few canceled weeks throughout the year. I was hoping, our original plan was to finish season 6 last week and start our 1 year anniversary with season 7. But nope. I had to be sick 1 week. Anyway, you know the spill. But yes, we're still close to the end though of season 6. We're still close. Not exactly where I wanted to be by the 1 year anniversary, but we're close. But I like what Isaac mentioned in the fight. We're at the end of the story, and in the final chapter, Emma fights the final battle and dies, and no one wants to be around to see that. Well, you're gonna have to if you want to continue watching my live stream. So be ready for the death of the savior and the death of our protagonist, of Emma Swan, who we've watched journey and character development since live stream 1, day 1. We're gonna start the last episode now because if we don't start now, we won't be done by 9:30. So anyway, timestamp 43 minutes 53 seconds, or just pause it before they say previously on Once Upon a Time. But anyway, yes, it's the final chapter, and the savior dies. No one wants to be around to see that, guys. We're heading into the final book. Final chapter. So prepare yourselves. The final battle is approaching. So let's get started with our next episode. It's not the final battle. It's only episode 17. We're not on 22 yet. But anyway, so I'm just trying to check for comments before we get started. It looks like nothing here. All right, we'll just start the next episode then. And that might then we'll wrap up for the night after we watch this episode. Okay. So 43 minutes 53 seconds. And or if that's not what it says, then just make sure you pause it before previously. All right, ready? When I get to 0, 3, 2, 1, 0. Previously on Once Upon a Time, guys. Here we go. The sleeping curse. Remember the sleeping curse that kept them asleep? Maybe they're finally gonna break the curse for once. This will be great. It's about time we break this Snow and Charming sleeping curse. I'm tired of them, switching day and night shifts. Time for them to both be awake for once. Neverland, here we go. Hook is running away from the Lost Boys. What do we expect from that? No, these are Lost Boys for a reason. They're under 18. Well, Hook forewarned them and saying, "Hey, I don't want to hurt you, but so if you want to stop fighting, stop now. Otherwise, I'll kill you. This is your last chance." And then Tiger Lily shows up out of nowhere and saves Hook's life. So I guess Hook didn't have to do any killing. Well, plot twist again. Black we thought the tiger lily was on Hook's side, but no, she's on her own side. She doesn't care about anyone. She'll save you from lost prison and she'll knock you out. Hey, it's a portal. Hey, that's not the first time we had that thumbnail in an episode. Mhm. Everyone knows when her hand shakes, that means she's having that vision. They're gonna do whatever it takes to stop her from losing in the final battle. Well, you can't say she put you under it. It's her double gainer. Like, I know they're the same person, but they use the scissors of destiny. You can't really treat her like that anymore. Charming, stop blaming your anger on Regina. It was the evil queen who put your sleeping curse on. It wasn't Regina. It was just another version of herself. What are you talking about? The first curse you ever it's not like the first curse you ever woken up from. What are you saying here? That's true, but we've already seen you waking up from other curses. Storybrooke, the time of the dark curse. So we're going back in time to before the events of season 1. Wasn't this look, it's all sunset here. Like, like the town hasn't looked like this in seasons, honestly. Those are not good flowers anymore. Regina kind of ruined them when you ran into her. Regina acted all sad in front of Snow, but she's actually gloating and smiling inside. This is when she was evil. Remember, this is pre season 1, so Regina has not had a redemption arc. Oh, look, a flower's growing in the presence of evil. That's the evil queen. It had magic fairy dust in it, obviously. You made him wake up apparently, which doesn't happen until the events of the show. But who cares about plot holes at this point? It's a hospital, Charlie. Snow's like, "What? You are delusional. I don't trust you. I'm running away from you. You look like a red flag." But yeah, all she has to do is touch his hand and she'll remember. I doubt that. Oh, because the dust fell on him. It's transparenting to Snow once they touch. So they woke up from the curse prior to Emma coming to Storybrooke. Interesting. It feels weird having a season one like I know we've had this happen before in like season 2 and 3 where we saw the days before the season one curse. But like and when you're all the way in season six, it's kind of it feels irrelevant to have a season one flashback. It makes sense once you're in the few later seasons, but once you've had it a couple times, I understand with this possibly being the last season for the show to go full circle and back into season one, but it just feels weird. I don't know. I didn't feel comfortable even from the first time watching this, seeing a flashback all the way back from season one. I mean, I didn't watch season 1 and 2 while they were on the air, and yeah, and I did. I guess I did watch season 3, but I don't. Yeah, there wasn't a flashback in season 3 that took place during the time of the Dark Curse. So I just know there was one from season 2 because of Owen, but season 3, I don't know. Anyway, I do remember thinking it felt nice to have a season 1 flashback since I never watched one live. But, like, honestly, like, where's Sheriff Graham, by the way? We need him back for this episode. Hmm. Yo, yeah. Remember, this was before the Wicked Witch came to Storybrooke. Like, she didn't come in the first curse. She came in the second curse. So the abandoned farmhouse, it's abandoned because she doesn't live there yet. Wow, Snow is lying to Regina. How long will that last? Anyway, I mean, I do feel for that flashback because I never got to see a season one first live, you know, prior to this. But like now, as a rewatch, it feels weird having a season one flashback late into the series like this. I don't know. I just feel uncomfortable by it on second, third, and millionth rewatches. Only exciting the first time. So yeah, so sorry. Snow. So Regina tried a theory on trying to break the sleeping curse, and it only made it worse. They're both going to be asleep by sundown, so no one's going to be awake. No Charming's going to be awake at all. Emma's going to have no Charming into the final battle. Settle with zero Charmings. Thanks a lot, Regina. Even though it wasn't your fault and you were trying to help. Oh. So Snow White sent a message to Charming saying that the thing did not work. Charming's a little disappointed. And so now they're winning. Now she's wishing he didn't put pressure on Regina to help them break the curse. He's wishing he was a little more patient. Yeah, Black Fairy has the dagger. It doesn't have a choice. I don't think Rumple wants to be a family with you. You are too evil and don't want to. Someone, a child would, someone who a child would not want to be with their mother at all. Too abusive. The time of the dark curse. We always have to be reminded of the time of the dark curse. It's going to be hard to distinguish flashback from present, so I guess that would make sense. But hey, Rumple doesn't have his hair cut in this flashback, so I would understand it's flashback without the title card. Hmm. Well, except this is a flashback, and we all know that Emma doesn't come to Storybrooke till Henry knocks on her door. So that whatever plan they have with the pixie is not going to work. Uh, Sorry, I'm tired of talking at this point. Maybe this is why we need to stop doing 3 episodes. Because after 2 episodes, I'm just done. I'm out. Still live, but out. All I can do is watch the show. That's okay. Because if you have it in sync with my content in the first place, you should be enjoying it too. And hopefully, my commentary doesn't bother you too much when you're trying to listen, being like, "Ben, shut up! I'm trying to hear what they're saying." So here's a flashback we never got. What happened between Hook and Tiger Lily? What did Hook do to mesmerize Tiger Lily at Skull Rock? Like honestly, if this was about School Rock, she would have left Hook to die. Is it really that bad? What did Hook do to her? They're just gonna leave that detail out? No flashback? Okay. Great hero, unlike you. Well, I mean, technically, he was an evil pirate when you last crossed paths with him, but clearly you weren't here when he was trying to save Henry. You probably were somewhere else on Neverland, so you don't know how much of a hero he is. 20 to 1. Those odds are really bad. You don't I don't get how you're going to defeat those Lost Boys. Snow White's thinking very long and hard. She wants to keep her cover and pretend to be asleep, but Regina's making it very difficult to, for her not to blow her cover. She has a choice to blow her cover and save the cricket's life, or Jiminy Cricket dies and she stays asleep. But luckily, Granny's here to save her. Snow White was really stuck there. She almost was going to have to face Regina, like awake and all that. But luckily, she was able to pretend to be in her cursed personas. When a granny and the others showed up, and she doesn't want to reveal herself to be evil in front of them. So the evil queen's plan did not work, obviously. Regina's plan, but she was evil back then. It's nice to see the comparisons of what was season 1 was like and now, the way the characters were in season 1 is way different than than where they are right now. Like, you can tell the difference of what we were dealing with when we started these live streams, and look, as a year anniversary present, this episode comes along. This is probably more perfect than the starting season 7, so some part of me is blessed to skip a couple weeks throughout the year, because of the cruise ships and sickness, right? Anyway, yes, how did Gideon get here? Never mind, the Black Fairy brought you here. Gideon brought the Black Fairy here. Wow, Snow White's really mad at this. Snow White shot the arrow, but haha, Black Fairy disappeared. You didn't kill your prey. Sorry, Snow. Man, it's so nice to get a season 1 flashback on our 1-year anniversary, right? It just comes to show where we've been the last year. We went from this evil Snow and cursed town to now everyone's hero, pirate, villain teaming up as one hero team against a new villain, after so many redemption arcs and, 6 seasons later, 1 year later. Wow, a lot has come. Anyway, so Tiger Lily was once a fairy? They didn't say that in the Disney movie. That's a new thing. So she's responsible in making the Black Fairy evil. How is Tiger Lily responsible? We're gonna find that out. Not tonight, but next week for sure. No, we won't find out what Hook did to Tiger Lily, unfortunately, but we will find out how Tiger Lily failed the Black Fairy. Hmm. Wow! So Hook was gonna use his shadow to carry him home, but the Lost Boys grabbed Hook, and his shadow left with only his Hook that he left behind. That's funny. Let me make this more clear. The Lost Boys captured Killian as he was trying to make an escape, failed, but his little hook for a hand kind of survived and is now going to Storybrooke. But this is Hook, not his whole soul. See, this is the Wicked Witch's house, but because she didn't make it through the first curse, it's abandoned. So yeah. It's kind of funny because this was the season before we found out Rumpel had a son and they went to New York to find him. They know Rumpel has a son now, but this was a season before they figured that out. And so they're like, you don't have a child who's out there all alone. Rumpel technically does. So anyway, they have to make a sacrifice here. So there was no real time travel. I was joking, but according to the season one flashback, if Snow and Charming don't go back under the curse, if they don't drink the potion, it's kind of funny because this is before Rumple brought magic to Storybrooke, so I don't know how they obtained this. This is why it's a plot hole. I understand there could have been a time Snow and Charming woke up before the actual breaking of the curse, before the events of season one. So, like there would be no potion to help them get back under since there was no magic in Storybrooke. Anyway, so yeah, I understand if there was a way for them to go back under, it would make sense. But it doesn't matter. You don't think about the plot too much. You just enjoy it for what it is, and it's a great comparison between the pilot and now. So anyway, hmm. So, anyway, I don't know how they were able to find a portal when there was no magic in Storybrooke. So, again, more questions for the writers here. Anyway, hey, at least the Charmians got to see Emma when she was a 10-year-old girl. That never usually happens. Yeah, like you don't get to see her when she was 10 usually. You Mhm. That is true. If they go through the portal and they get their daughter back, everyone else will stay cursed forever, and the events of seasons 1 through 6 will never happen. I mean, they made a lot of sense before, like Maleficent's child and killing Cora. This is this is after the Maleficent child part, but it's before killing Cora. Surely you got to learn your lesson by now. Man, no parent would usually want to make that choice, you know. Unless it was, there are certain adoption situations where a parent can't take care of a child, so it's best to give them up. You have to do what's best for your child, even if that means giving them up. But like for a parent who wants to be with their child forever, it's like a decision you wouldn't want to make. So hopefully that opportunity doesn't have to come to you, right? Hmm. Yep. One day. One day, someday soon. We know that happens in season 1. She does find them, and the curse breaks, and then all of evil gets loose, and for seasons to come. The thing that started this all, the dark curse. There would be no show without it. The whole idea of bringing fairy tales to the real world is what caused this show to air in the first place. A cool concept. Not just fairy tale characters fighting good and evil, and it's not just about combinations of Cinderella being best friends with Snow White. It's like more than that. It's family and fighting together and living in the real world. How do fairy tales translate to the real world? They're 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 told for a reason. As Snow and Emma said multiple times in the series, there's a reason why we know them. Man, so they did go back under the curse. And that made Charm going back into the curse made Charming go back into a coma, which kind of sets up for season 1. Kind of avoids the plot holes. But how did they get themselves back under without the magic, honestly? How did Rumpel get that potion? That's the plot hole. Aw, look at Hook. Yeah, I would speaking of alternate realities, now that we've seen this happen, and we've seen an alternate world where they never had to give Emma up and they were living in the fairy tale land. But what would another wish realm be like if they did actually go through that door and raise them in the real world? It'd be cool to see a cursed town where only Snow and Charming are awake. That'd be very cool to see. Evil, of course, because it would be evil on Snow and Charming's fault on Snow and Charming's part for making everyone else lose their happy endings. You shouldn't. That's called pride. You shouldn't sacrifice everyone else just to get what you want. You should be selfless, brave, and true, and sacrifice your needs for others. See, Snow White's making the same decision she made in that flashback. She chose to give up her daughter so that everyone else can live happily ever after, and now she's doing the same thing. Now that they have been reunited 28 years later, um, uh, she, uh, she, mm, man. So here's two things I get from this. Emma, yeah, crimes against Pan, crimes against Pan. The Velocities are gonna kill. Look, wow, Emma's rescue kind of helped save everyone right at the peak of Tiger Lily and Hook being stabbed. I mean, Tiger Lily could have gone through the portal too, but she's just running away. She loves staying on the island, I guess. Well, Hook got his hook back. Yay! The shadow brought his hook. And then they used the dust to reunite Emma's true love. Yeah, your proposal was not rightfully righteous last time. Now you're gonna propose the right way. And Regina and Henry are stepping out of the room so they can have their moment. She's already said yes before, so it's not really a surprise. She's willing to mend that engagement relationship and put the wedding back on after their breakup. Imagine you propose, they say yes, and then you break their heart and they don't want to marry you anymore, and then they decide they want to marry you again. Well, I mean, Snow and Charming are asleep, so yeah. So two things I like about this idea of the sleeping curse thing is that for one, Snow sacrificed everything, even her own daughter, just so everyone else can live happily ever after. On the other hand, she's making the same sacrifice now by sacrificing her own life so Emma can be happy. Because, in fairness, giving her up caused her abandonment issues and caused her to not trust anyone and put walls up and it took her whole childhood away, and they don't want to take away another thing that's special to her like Captain Hook. So, Snow and Charming will only take stuff away from their daughter if they have to, but if they were given another choice, they won't, and so they chose Hook over themselves, and that's how Emma and Hook got reunited. Hook would have still been in danger and probably dead if they woke up Snow and Charming instead. Dead instead. That goes for hey, now I'm just as clever as the Black Fairy. Dead instead. Good line, good line, good line. I created my own. No copyrights from the show. Anyway, so Regina has the idea that what if we share the curse? She made it worse, but now to make up for making the sleeping curse worse and putting them both asleep. Why don't you try True Love's kiss on both of them? Like, why can't Emma and Henry just try True Love's kiss on both of them? I don't get it. Emma was able to wake her son up with True Love's kiss, so it's not a true love kind of way. True Love's kiss, no matter what kind of form, is the most powerful magic of all and breaks any curse. It's the fairy tale logic. Wouldn't happen in logic, but fairy tale logic. You could be a mother kissing a son. You could be a husband kissing a wife. It doesn't matter. True love's kiss breaks the curse. They could have just used true love's kiss. Honestly, that's a plot hole too. They could have done that. But hey, this I guess this there's nothing wrong with this idea either. If you both share the curse and you drink the curse that the evil queen made, um, then everyone will go to sleep, and it was only meant for one heart. So it will dilute its power to where it doesn't work. But then again, I've seen enough dark magic that can curse an entire population and bring them to Storybrooke. So you could make the curse evil enough to make everyone sleep, but Regina's not that smart. I mean, Regina is. Regina's not that evil. I meant, and She would not try to make it more evil. She would just try to use what the evil queen already created, so that that way, if it was meant for one heart, it would break the curse. It's shared being shared with every other people. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair, but you could have done True Love's Kiss too. I would have mentioned that. I would have been like, "Why don't you guys just kiss him?" Yeah. See, even Charming forgives you when normally he wouldn't. And, after what we've been through, the least Charming can do is forgive you, Hook. See, you have his blessings still to marry Emma. So there you go. I mean, they probably already told Snow and Charming that they proposed in their sleep. So, yep. Yep. You sacrificed your family for the town. Snow and Charming sacrificed their family for the town and got a bigger one in return. That's the best sacrifice ever. Give up your children to save a town, and before you know it, the whole town will be your family. Is a small family worth giving up just to have a bigger family? Probably. As long as you get the small family back in the long run, right? That's how I know we'll defeat the Black Fairy because Emma will not face her alone. So see, we this is not a plot twist. We learned this an episode ago. Black Fairy has Gideon's heart, but this is the first time everyone else finds out about it. Rumple just found out, and he's probably going to tell everyone. So now that we know Gideon's heart is taken, and that he has no control over his agency actions, everyone has agency. But once upon a time, there are loopholes, and the loophole of losing your agency, which is the planet part of the planet salvation, is taking someone's heart and forcing them to do what you want. So you can lose your agency in the show by taking someone's heart out. Yes, and Rumple will get his heart back. He's gonna do whatever it takes to get his heart back. Now that they know that Gideon's being controlled and not, enforced, they know he's not evil. They know it's the Black Fairies, so they're not gonna try to kill him. Thank goodness for that. No more family feud between Rumple and Emma. Your son tried to kill me. I'm gonna kill him. No, Savior. We don't have that argument anymore because everyone can blame the Black Fairy for taking his heart now. If he did choose evil, that would have been bad for family rivalry purposes. Hmm. And that's the end of the episode. So, hang on. What was that last line she said? Hang on, go back. Okay, so last thing Black Fairy said was that if you come at me, if you take me down, if you try to get Gideon's heart back, then there will be nothing left of this town. I'll destroy it all. And Rumple's like, well, that's a price I'm gonna pay. I'm gonna pay. He's willing to let the town be destroyed just to get his son back. Um, he's evil. Like Rumple's evil. He makes the opposite choice of Snow and Charming. He doesn't sacrifice his family for the town. He's gonna let the town be destroyed just to get his son back. My goodness, Rumple, you never learn from your mistakes. Sorry, I just wanted to see what that was. But yes, it is 7:27. Technically, the episode ended at 7:25. I just had to go back and watch that ending there. I had to try to remember what she said. But that's it for Once Upon a Time tonight, y'all. So, yes, we got a nice tribute to our 1 year anniversary. We get characters coming back that we haven't seen for seasons, both heroes and villains. One episode specifically for heroes, Ariel and Lana and Jasmine, and one specifically for villains, Isaac, Blackbeard, and Neverland. Nice cameos from earlier seasons. But to top it off, we get to go back to where we started with the pilot when we first started this marathon. A flashback that took place before the events of Once Upon a Time. A flashback that took place during the 28 years Regina was supreme evil leader over Storybrooke of a land of no magic, before Rumpel brought it. And, we get to see what it was like exactly before we started the show. Yeah, the characters are a lot different from the episode 1 pilot to now, right? They're going to be even more different when we get to the end of season 7, of course. But, and we'll have that, just to end our marathon off, we will have that same thing again. Not a flashback of season 1, of course, but like we'll have that season 1 recognition full circle feeling of being like, hey, this is who they were back in season 1, and this is where they are now. I can't really explain how we do that without a flashback, but you'll see in season 7. Anyway, however, since this is not the end of the marathon, it was nice to have it for this 1 year anniversary. So anyway, it's too bad we won't make it to 2. Even if we do one episode a week, we won't make it to 2. So we would have, if we started with one episode a week back in season 1, then we would have made it to 4 years actually. And if we'd done 2 episodes a week, we would have been a little over 2 years. But nope, because I was so eager to make this done in 1 year, I decided to do 3 or 4 episodes. 4 episodes would make us finish a little under a year, so we would have been done by now. And 3 episodes is what's gonna take us over a year, unless I put some polls. I put some polls in my post, so you should answer some polls right now. Wait, I seen the family I told you I watched yesterday, the LDS family. They did polls in their live stream. They did polls. So wait. I know there's a way to do polls. I need to do that. Hang on. Stay live. I need to do polls, but no one's really watching, so maybe it's not worth it. Top fans. Ooh. Be the first in the leadership leaderboard by showing support. Try sending a live chat or super chat. Okay. How do I do a poll here? Let's see. Okay, I can't seem to figure out how to do a poll here. So, oh well, just go. I don't know how they did it. Sorry, I couldn't figure that out. But I'm not going to hold this live stream longer than it needs to be. So instead of, I know how to put a poll on a YouTube post. I made a poll on, if you scroll through my YouTube posts, not YouTube videos, on my community tab, if you scroll down, you should be able to find a poll from me. You need to vote on how many episodes we should do for the last season. And so anyway, so yes, even though this marathon was meant to only last a little over a year, with us approaching the final season, I am deciding to want to have it last longer if possible. So I need you vote, or if you don't vote, we will still end in June. So vote, go to those polls in the community tab and vote. If you're on Facebook, same thing. In my Once Upon a Time group page, vote. I have the polls there as well. Even in my Messenger app and messages and all the platforms of social media, there are polls. Go vote, so we know how many episodes and day of the week we should be watching the show for the final season. Okay. I know it's contradictory because we are in the final chapter now, but there is still more Once Upon a Time even after the Savior dies in the final battle. So vote for after Emma dies, how many episodes we should watch and what day of the week we should watch it on. Okay, just go vote. And with that, we're gonna end the live stream. Sorry, it was 9:27, and that whole idea of the vote thing was supposed to only last 3 minutes. Luckily, I didn't plan on talking too much at the end, so I was okay wasting my 15 in between episodes. Anyway, so yes, before I send you off and end the stream, I do have to give you a heads up for next week. We don't need to recap the show, because I kind of already just did with our whole old characters returning, new characters, and then going back to the season 1 curse. Okay, so next week, remember how Regina and the Wicked Witch have been at rivals since Robin's death? Evil Queen blames the Wicked Witch for Robin's death, and still does, even after fully redeeming herself. So it does make sense, but we're gonna get that rivalry fixed. They're finally gonna make up. But the question is, why didn't they make up when the Evil Queen, when Regina gave herself a happy ending? Like that, if she started loving herself more, maybe she would love anyway. But anyway, yes, that family drama that started season 6 is finally going to get resolved. We're going to get a Wicked Witch based episode, even though it doesn't make sense. It's more basic and not as action packed as the episodes we watched tonight. So it's just a simple, bland episode. But then after that, our first episode of next week is not going to be as exciting. But if you stick around to about 7:45 next week, we do have a special episode of the Black Fairy and why she gave Rumple up. I'm not going to spoil the reasons, but you definitely want to be here for that. It's definitely plot revealing. This is what made Once Upon a Time some people's favorite show, because of that episode. We're going to watch it next week. And then, because we do 3 episodes a night, I know I'm possibly planning to change that, but that's not until we finish the current season. We'll finish this season at the end of April. So starting in May, it might be different. But anyway, only time will tell if you guys answer the polls. But anyway, in the meantime, while we're still doing 3 episodes until the end of season 6, because our 3rd episode for next week is going to be a musical. So get ready for the musical episode. Now, I know some of you hate musical episodes, but Once Upon a Time is different. It's not like the other TV shows. You know how other TV shows have one musical episode? It's not one of those things where it's distracting from the plot, and it's not one of those things where where it's separate from the actual season. No, it's none of that, and it's not there just to have a musical episode. Fairy tales are literally Disney, and Disney does musicals. You've seen The Little Mermaid, you've seen Snow White. It makes sense for Once Upon a Time fairy tales, even though if they weren't always Disney based, to be a musical show. And so anyway, it works well with the plot. It doesn't distract from the plot. They need to sing. They're not singing for no reason. They have to sing to do something. So, you might not believe me, but you'll realize when we get to it. So there's going to be some songs coming on. And it's funny because this is the episode that will lead us to the season finale, but we're not going to watch that next week. And now I bet you're wondering, well, why not just watch 4 episodes? Well, the season finale is 2-parters, and we're not watching 5 episodes. There's still, and the reason why I didn't do 4 episodes like earlier this season, just to make up. Anyway, the reason why I didn't do that is because we still have one more Once Upon a Time recap special that airs right before the finale. So even though we have different episodes next week, the reason why we're not watching the finale is, for one, it's 2 episodes long, and then if you count the recap special, there's our 3. So in 2 weeks it's just season finale. That's it. But again, that's still 2 weeks away, and next week we have 3 more episodes to get through before we prepare for that. So yes, 2 more weeks of Once Upon a Time, and then the final chapter will conclude. But it won't be our last live stream, so don't worry, because we don't have 2 live streams yet, if that's what you were thinking. Yes, this is only meant to only last a little over a year, but we still got one more season, or I should say show, after this. It's not really a different show, but it feels like it. It should be a different show. I don't know why, but season 7 regardless, even if we want it to be season 1 of Twice Upon a Time, right, instead of Once Upon a Time. All right, anyway, I'm talking too much, and again, it's now another 4 minutes. I said I was going to end at 9:27, but then talking about the poll stuff took till 9:33, and now I spent another 4 minutes just talking about next week's episodes. I'm sorry. I'm ready to end right now. God be with you till we meet again. Until next week. Bye, y'all. Always have to end Facebook first. Sorry. And now we can say goodbye to YouTube. See you on my next week's live stream. Bye, y'all.